What's up, my people? Before we start the show, make sure you like the video, comment on the commentary, and subscribe to the channel. Become a part of the GVG family, because without you, there's no us. And as always, we thank you, and all praises to the Most High. Now let's get into it. What up, everybody? It's your boy Hally back again. Gvg Podcast, Detroit representative to the day that I die. East side in the building. You know how we do, man. Let's get into it. GVG, God versus gods. The real God, the true God versus the deities and people that we worship instead of him. Y'all know how we do. I read my points off the phone and then I go off the fly. It's time to do the thing. Let's go. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between infamous and famous. Now, some people don't really know, but in this world, you have people who become famous from being infamous, and you have people who become famous by that engine who just made them who they are. So we're going to break down some of the differences, and we're going to get into it. And we know we're going to wrap it all up and make it make sense. So follow your boy on this journey, man. Let's do it. The difference between infamous and famous. Today, we're going to be talking about that and breaking down a few things just to let you know the differences. So the first point is, the one thing you have to realize is that the system created both. The system created both infamous and famous. So what that means is you have people in America who I guess you could say were anti-system, anti-government, anti-racism. They basically were the people on the side of the spectrum that were fighting for the people who were unheard or were unseen or were treated unfairly. And in doing so, they became famous by being infamous, meaning notorious, meaning one of those type of people that would be on the hit list, the bad list, if you want to say. The government, the president, whoever it is at those times, they were the ones who were giving out the orders to say that these people were bad. So you have your civil rights leaders, your different people who acted on behalf of the people and were in turn, they became infamous to the majority. They became infamous on TV. They became infamous on the radio and the newspapers and so on and so forth. They became notorious in the media for not complying and not doing what they were supposed to, I guess, according to the propaganda. And then you have the people who were made famous by that same engine for the people to love them, for the people to worship them, for the people to want to be them, want to be like them on a daily basis. These are your Kyrie Irvings, your Nick Cannons, your Dave Chappelles, your Michael Jordans, so on and so forth. Different people of the media, the celebrities, the Tom Cruises of the world, the people that we see and we say, man, I want to be like them. I want to drive a car like them. I want to be an actor like them. I want to spend the millions of dollars like them. You know, we have a realm where those people are the famous people, the celebrities, the ones that we want to be like, we want to dress like, we want to eat what they eat, we want to talk the way they talk. And that same system spits out both infamous and famous. So there's a slippery slope with that because most people don't even know what that means. But when we had our freedom fighters and our leaders and all the people who stood up for the unheard, they were considered infamous. So if you saw them in the street, some of the times they would have to fight for their lives because the propaganda was out, the issue was out, the APB was out that these people are anti-system, anti-government, anti-compliance. To whereas the people who were made famous, they are famous because they have talents and they comply. So now you have the people, the Kyrie Irvings, the Kanye Wests of the world, the Kim Kardashians. These are people who are famous based on compliance. They met all of the criteria to be able to be in the right place at the right time, and they also comply. We're going to go to the second point, and we're going to just keep it going. So my second point is MLK, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, as opposed to Nick Cannon, Kyrie Irving, and Kanye West of the world. Rosa Parks was infamous for not complying. She said, I'm not doing it. Take me to jail, lock me up, do what you gonna do. I'm not moving. I'm gonna sit where I'm at. Martin Luther King was infamous for trying to desegregate this nation. He was infamous for trying to get that check. He knew about the middle class. He knew how a certain type of people were given money and land and all of these things, and we weren't given it. He was speaking out against that. He was speaking out against inequality, and he became infamous for that. Malcolm X. I mean, the list is endless of the things that Malcolm X became infamous for. I mean, he was a freedom fighter. He was a great orator. He was the one that was in everyone's face saying that what you're doing is wrong. And we are going to fight and figure out ways to get our people to the top of the food chain. So just those three examples are 60s, freedom fighters, civil rights people, people who were oppressed, people who were constantly dealing with something. People were trying to kill Martin Luther King. They were trying to kill Malcolm X, and eventually they succeeded. They were burning crosses in front of their houses. They were constantly throwing rocks through their windows. They were threatening them. They were doing things that people of today, I don't know if we could stay on that path if those things were happening to us as far as the new leaders of the world. And then you have your Nick Cannons, your Kyrie Irvings, your Kanye Wests, who were made famous from their talents. So they became famous for talents. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X became famous for being infamous, for being anti-system, for being anti-government, for being anti-racist. So Kyrie Irving can dribble a basketball and shoot it through the hoop. Now, don't get me wrong, Kyrie Irving is a great humanitarian, a great philanthropist, and a bunch of other things. He's a great man. But what I'm saying is the system that created him was based on compliance. The system that created Kanye West to be as big as he is with the Yeezys and the producing and all of those things, this came from compliance and talent. So the difference is Nick Cannon has to live by a certain rule. He has to live by a certain code. He has to live with certain handlers being on top of him saying you can do this and you can't do that. If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, this won't happen. So basically their future, their sanity, their everything is banked on them being compliant to that same engine which made them famous. To whereas the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's of the world, they were known for being infamous to that system. They were going against the system that was making them famous. Either way, eyes were put on the people. We're going to go to the next point. The same thing that builds you up, it builds you up to tear you down. So this is more for the famous people, the celebrities, the sports guys, the entertainers, the people that we see on TV, hear on the radio, just in the media, period. That same system that builds them up is the same system that tears them down. So at the height of what you are, you risk so much more. When you're at the top of a ladder, your risk of falling and hurting yourself is so much more common at the top than it is at the bottom or the first two steps of a ladder. You can actually catch yourself. But when you're at the top of that ladder, you risk really hurting yourself. So when you look at Kanye West, who lost all of that money because he posted something on Twitter, you look at Kyrie Irving, who lost endorsement deals and all of these things happen because he posted something. He reposted something. You look at Nick Cannon, who lost his job for being the host of Wild 'N Out because of something that he said. So that's the thing about the system that makes you, the system that builds you up. They'll say, we're going to build you up as long as you follow our rules. As long as you don't say anything that goes against us, you're okay. You could talk about murder, death, kill, sex, drugs, rock and roll, pain, hurt, hate, whatever you want. But the minute you come into the box of saying that we're wrong or we're doing something or we're not this or that, we have the right to shut you down. So everybody out there, all of the people who are trying to get rich and famous and want to be a part of this machine, this beast that eats people up and spit them out, understand that it's going to start with talent, but it's going to end with compliance. You have to comply with whatever they say, whatever rules they make. You have to comply to. You can't play the game if you don't put on the jersey. You have to put on the jersey to play the game. So all my people out there that want to be the best singer, the best boxer, the best this, the best that, believe there's going to be rules in place that you are going to have to comply to. And if you get all the way to the top and then decide you don't want to comply to those rules, the fall is going to be hard. Nick Cannon had to apologize. Kyrie Irving had to apologize. Kanye West had to apologize. In the end, they had to come back crawling on their knees. I like all of those guys. But they all had to come back crawling on their knees back to that system so they can get back in that machine to continue their fame and their money and their whatever they need. Whatever feeds them on the inside, they had to go back. They couldn't just say, you know what, fire me, take my money, take my show. I'm going to stand by my beliefs. No, they said, you know what, I believe this, but I'm not going to stand by it because I got kids to take care of. I got kids to feed. I got car notes. I got mansion payments, whatever they're doing. They said, hey, I'm going to wave my white flag. Is what it is. We're going to move on to the next point. Chasing the so-called American dream. This is something that was started a long time ago when a bunch of immigrants were coming here, and they were coming here because America was a democracy. It was the land of dreams and hopes, and you could become a millionaire and own businesses and do all of these things. But African Americans, some would disagree, but African Americans were the only ones who were brought here by force and didn't want to be here. But you fast forward until the new time, and the American dream is not the picket fence and the big house with the dog and the family and the nice job. Now the American dream is, at least for African Americans, is football, basketball, baseball, boxing, singing, dancing, rapping, some type of sports or entertainment to become famous. The American dream is about fame and money. We have been sold a dream from America of becoming an entertainer, becoming famous, becoming an actor, becoming these things of the arts. That's what we grow up with. We learn, you got to learn a sport. You got to learn how to sing or act or dance or do something so you can become famous, so people will love you, so you can get that check, you can get that bag, and you can buy whatever you want and live however you want. That's the new American dream that people are sold, but we don't understand that American dream comes with a lot of strings attached to it. So you may want to be a certain type of way, but there are strings attached to these types of things. And the minute you get your heart broke is when you don't comply, and then they snatch the rug from under you and you realize that they never loved me. Fans will eventually turn on you. People will eventually say you're not the guy anymore. Record companies, production companies will eventually stop calling. All you're going to have is your character and whatever money you had saved up. So the American dream is definitely not what people think it is. And now we live in a time where the influencer is the American dream. Now people want to be influencers. Now people want to be Instagram influencers and YouTube influencers and, whatever you name, social media influencers, period. People want to make money and get rich and get famous and buy everything they want off of views. So now people will do any and everything just to get that view. That's the American dream. We're going to go to the next point. The next point is what you work your whole life for. If you look at singers, actors, dancers, basketball players, football players, whatever you want to name, a lot of their stories start from a young age. People like Floyd Mayweather, he probably put the boxing gloves on when he was 5 years old. Dancers probably started dancing when they were 6 or 7. Singers started singing in a choir or in school when they were 8 years old. Football players, they started playing PAL. And before you know it, they got on basketball. I started playing when I was 5 or 6, went to middle school, went to AAU, went to high school, so on and so forth. These people work their whole lives. Eddie Murphy, probably entertaining his family when he's 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old. These people work their whole lives. Do you know how hard it is to work your whole life for something and then it can be gone in an instant? Do you know how hard it is to work your whole life for something and it can be gone in an instant? I see and I believe that most people don't understand that, because when you're riding that high wave, you never think it's going to end. And money has a way of blinding you. Fame has a way of blinding you. These things have a way of putting you in a position where you feel you're untouchable, where you're immortal, where you're better. And we don't understand that one act can knock us off our high horse, knock us off our pedestal, bring us back to earth, take us to rock bottom. I don't think we understand that. There is a certain compliance that you have to have in this game to be able to stay and ride that wave. I don't want to spend too much time on this point, but I just want you to think about that, people. We're going to go to the next point. They write the narrative. They are the storytellers. Whoever conquers the world or conquers the nation, they are the ones who tell the story. Whoever owns the pen is the one who writes the story. Whoever owns the media is the one who writes the stories. The narratives that we see, they can paint you as a funny guy. They can paint you as a savage like Tupac or a revolutionary. They can paint you as a great storyteller, but a disrespecter of rights like Dave Chappelle. They can say you're this funny guy, but you're breaking the law constantly, a Cat Williams. They can say you're the funniest guy on earth and you comply and you're just America's sweetheart like Kevin Hart. But who's writing the narrative? Because we don't know these people in their everyday lives. We just know what they tell us. What you have is someone is saying, we like this person. We like this man because he has talent and he complies. So what we're going to do is we're going to build him up as long as he keeps complying. You ever wonder why you see a lot of people start to rise and then they out of nowhere, they're just gone? You ever wondered about that? Those people, more than likely, those people either were tired of the hustle and bustle or they didn't comply. Think about it. You've seen a bunch of people whose star was rising and then it just fizzled out of nowhere. More than likely, that's what it was from. Understand, we work our whole lives just to be in these positions, for someone to write the narrative, for us to be painted as a certain individual. And then we get to a position where if we don't comply, they change the narrative. You go from being America's sweetheart to being a savage and the worst person on earth. Understand that when they have the pen and they own the pen, they own the narrative. So regardless of what you try to be, you will only be what they make you. You will only be what they make you in the media. We're going to go to the next point. The last thing I'll say is what I said before. It can all be gone in an instant. Me, I'm a follower of the Most High. I have talents and I have gifts. I'm a follower of the Most High. I have talents and I have gifts. I believe that one day I may be in a position where someone will want me to compromise my belief system. Someone will want me to compromise just who I am, my character. my place in this world and my line in the sand. Someone will come along and want to jeopardize that as long as my trajectory is going up and up. Understand that about yourselves, that the higher you go on that ladder, the bigger risk you have to fall. Understand that everything you work for, everything that you do in this world can be gone in an instance. For whatsoever a man gain the world if he is to lose his soul in the process. My advice is seek the Most High. My advice is seek peace. My advice is be happy with what you have. My advice is stop trying to keep up with the Joneses and keep up with your ownses. Understand that your character is you. Understand that your line in the sand has to be cemented. If you compromise who you are, if you compromise your belief system, you'll find yourself not knowing who you are in the end. And you may become one of those miserable people who are left out of the kingdom. This your boy Hally. I love all of y'all. We're going to bring a part 2 to this. I just wanted to start the conversation and open it. And till next time, you know, your boy going to be bringing it. It's the Gvg Podcast. It's 6 months, man. We about to keep rolling. We about to keep rolling. We about to keep rolling. You already know it, man. It's your boy Hally. I love all of y'all. Until next time, we out. Thank you for being a part of this experience. Gvg appreciates every single one of you. I hope you came away from this video with a little more perspective, patience, understanding, and purpose. So until next time, we on Christ time.
You might forget Martin Luther King was assassinated in April. The Poor People's Campaign was supposed to go to Washington in April. So the organization that mobilized it was essentially decapitated.